policeman gives them a ticket for smoking by the train station. And they come home fuming angry instead of saying, well, we got what we deserved. It's illegal. It says no smoking. And we smoked and the guy did his job. Instead, they come home fuming angry. Look at the cops. This is what they're wasting their time with. They're fuming angry at the cops. Comes mommy and daddy and what do? They take the side of the cops. What do you want from him? It's his job. It's your fault. You deserve it. You didn't see the no smoking sign? Next time, be more careful. All the logic in the world. In this kid's mind, I can't punch that policeman, but I can punch you. I hate him. Now I hate you. It's the same thing with everything, with authority, with the guy. He comes to shul and somebody gives him a dirty look and he goes running away from shul, never stepping into shul again. Right away, we want to defend that guy. We want to explain. Doesn't work. People say, wait, you're not going to explain what the guy do wrong? What the guy do wrong? Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Say, you're right. Nobody should look at anybody like that. That's why people don't come to shul. And then look at the kid's eyes. Ooh, you understand what it's like to be me, to be downtrodden, to be at the bottom of the world. You say to him, you're right. Do you know how much theft is going on? Let me Google this. One person is shot every minute in New York City. And you know why? Because he's busy on a train thing. He was probably on a smoking break, hiding from his duty of saving lives, writing a ticket to some teenager who's smoking. What a loser. And look at the eyes. The kid's like, oh, my parents understand me. Oh, but for the rest of their life, they're going to think that no. When they pull out of this and they get healthy, then all of that twisted thinking changes. When they get healthier, they know about behaving and they know about, trusting authority, and they start to want to be part of our society. See, right now there's society and then there's underground. And the underground is a bunch of broken people who don't trust anybody. And their motto is that they live and die by, never trust any adult. They make certain exceptions by these people that are mole hearts, that are full of heart, and they let them in after really being careful. They let them in when they test you on their scanner, that they can scan you and they see no judgment. And there are a few yichidei skula that can get into these homeless places and to these drop-in centers, and they can prove themselves that they pass because I don't judge you, I don't look down at you. Moshe Rabbeinu was Adam Mikol Adam. He was the highest, but he was an Anav because he knew, I have gifts from Hashem, but I'm not looking down at you. And regular people who are not Moshe Rabbeinus, and they look down at other people because they're sinning differently than us. You know the t-shirt? Don't judge me because I sin differently than you do, right? Or I say, we're okay, quote unquote, with Hamish sins or Hamish sins, destroying somebody's life and reputation, sinas chinam, lashon hara, rechilus. That's Hamish sins, Hamish sins, but not tznius, chil Shabbos. Those are not. We don't do that. That's really, really bad. Destruction of the Beis Hamikdash and all the pain that we're in that came from lashon hara and rechilus. That's okay. Sinas chinam, a good fight in the family. Nobody throws anybody out and looks at them and says, get out of shul. How can you come like that? But tznius, it's not a Hamish sin. So we like our kids to be Hamish and Hamish, even in their sins. Then it's okay, right? Don't sin. Don't judge me because I sin differently than you. We all sin. So you don't have that nisayon of tznius because that's not your nisayon. So you look down at somebody who does. So there are few yichidei skula that mamish, they don't judge. They don't judge. It says in the Baal Shem Tov that that's going to be a b'china Mashiach. Anybody who doesn't judge other people and sticks up for them and is melamed zchus on Yidden is a b'china of Mashiach. And Mashiach is going to be the master, the one who there is nobody, he can get 100 on that test. There's nobody that he looks down on. That comes from Anava. I don't look down at you. I had a better life. So I don't look down at you. I didn't have pain. I didn't have trauma. And some of the problem is that a lot of the people looking down are people who did have pain and trauma, and they say, I had pain and trauma, look at me. You have a gift that a God gave you that you didn't have a breakdown. Don't use your gift and your strength. You worked on yourself. Who gave you the power to work on yourself? Hashem. This kid didn't have that power. It's all a gift from Hashem. You did your shtadlus. It was taka hard. I'm not taking it away from you. But even going to the gym To work on building muscle also takes hishtadlus that they didn't have. They couldn't even get to that point. A lot of the critical people are people who went through trauma and pain, and they can't understand how come I'm still from and I went through stuff. Don't use your godless, your strength, which is a gift from God. Even though you also had your bechira and you were kaivish and you did great and you're an angel and you're wonderful. Don't use your success in life to look down at somebody who wasn't successful, because it's a cop-out. It's taking away sympathy and empathy and compassion and blaming them even more. Some people blame them because they don't understand. You're saying, I understand, and I'm blaming you even more because you could do it and you're lazy and you're manipulative. A lot of people do that. It's not true. First of all, if you're a parent who went through pain, the neshamas are weaker today. The neshamas are weaker today. The neshamas are weaker today. You cannot compare even 5 years ago. Rav Steinman said every 3 years is a dar, and niskatnu hadoros. And somebody who went through something 30 years ago or 20 years ago or 10 years ago would not necessarily be suicidal and on drugs and anti and screaming in pain and acting out like they would today. And if you would have gotten it today, could be you would be worse. So don't use from before. And even if you got it the same day, you take a baseball bat, you walk down the block and you whack every single car window. Some are gonna burst, pop. Some are gonna crack, some nothing. Because not all car windows are created equal. Maybe the guy just left before and his heat was on and that gave it a certain strength. Or maybe the air conditioning was on and gave it strength. Maybe the guy had tinted windows, it was an extra layer. Maybe it's a little bit thicker. Maybe you didn't swing so hard. People are the same way. The same thing could happen to two people and could have different reactions. Maybe you got more love as a kid, or maybe you didn't and you built it up somehow miraculously that you have a certain inner strength. Maybe you have a better self-esteem. Maybe you have an ego. Maybe the other person has a low self-esteem. Maybe the other person didn't get love as a kid. There's a million different things. That's assuming that it was exactly the same age stage. Maybe you were more mature. Maybe the person was less mature. Maybe you were less mature, so it didn't bother you. And he was more mature. Maybe he's more of a thinker. Maybe he's smarter than you. Maybe he has racing thoughts. Maybe he can't get past it. And maybe he has worse midas than you. Maybe he has better midas than you. No two people are the same. No people have the same experience. L'toiv, l'ra. Don't judge anybody else. Our job is to stay with the patient. Vishav el hamachne. If you're going to take anybody else's side, you're abandoning the patient. Imkain mi yakarvam. Who is going to bring them back? This is for your children. This is for your brothers and sisters. This is for your nephews and nieces. This is for your grandchildren. This is for your neighbors. This is for your anybody. This is for everybody in Klal Yisrael. Imkain mi yakarvam. Be somebody in their life that they realize that when you look at them, you're not thinking negative thoughts about them. You're not judging them. You don't think you could do their life better with all the mistakes, because the mistakes are because of their pain. When they feel that, they'll have a certain somebody on my side, somebody I can call, somebody I can trust. And the more people that they have, the more stable they are. And when it's all us from people, then they're going to want to be like us. We have kids who say, I'm more comfortable with homeless people than I am with from people. Rahman al-Islam. I learned this the hard way. True story. All my stories are true. Kid was going out and home sweet home at night. He had to go somewhere. I said, be careful. You're going through a very bad neighborhood. You have to go through Harlem and in order to get to Queens or whatever. And I had 3 or 4 other guys around me, home sweet home kids. And he turns to me and he says, I'm not scared. I said, but it's a dangerous neighborhood. He looks at me, he said, none of the pain that I got in my life came from them. And I'm like, oh. The person who molested him was from. The person who got angry at him for not behaving properly was from. The person who got upset at him for taking the keys from somebody who parked their car in shul was from. The person who called the police on him is from. The person who threw him out of shul is from. The person who threw him out of school is from. He got so much pain and rejection. I'm not blaming them. They didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't understand it. They got all of his pain that brought him to be homeless and to want to die was from people. He's like, I'm much more scared of from people. The beard, the chassid, I hate Hasidim. This guy grew up in the Hasidic thing. He tells me he'll never go to a chassid. I hate Hasidim. I hate Hasidim. Like, no, I think Hasidim are very friendly and nice. But his life is different. They got hurt by us. We have to change all of that. That's what Home Sweet Home did by accident. They all of a sudden were surrounded by a bunch of guys being nice to them, taking them out, paying from their own pockets, and they're not getting paid, and they're paying to take them out for fun, and then going for Shabbos to them and being treated like royalty. So I hate all Chassidim besides Rabbi Landau. He was always the first chassid that we sent people to. Okay, I hate every chassid besides Rabbi Landau and Shulam, the Thursday night volunteer, Shulam Nyman. And then I hate everybody besides, and then I hate all Litvaks. I hate besides Yitzi. Yitzi's great, and the Moshe and the Yanki and the Chaim. And I hate everybody in the world besides you. All of a sudden, by their graduation, there were over 400 people in the community came to their graduation to celebrate, going Me'afelu La'ir Gadol, from Chil Shabbos, Chil Yom Kippur to Frum and Erlich. We look at these videos, it's like, what? How did that happen? Because a whole group of people, and Ashreichem Yisrael, the whole area in Flatbush who hosted them. We had about 50 Shabbos hosts and volunteers and everything, and the women who cooked for them, made them feel, instead of being on the bottom of the world, nobody caring about me, all of a sudden, a job, money, fun, invitations. Do you want more kugel? People being nice to you, worrying about you, taking you out Motzei Shabbos, took them out to movies. Yeah, we took them out to the movies. It's my first question to Reb Shmuel Shlita, Shmuel Kamenetsky Shlita, and the Novi Mitzvah Rebbe's Chassid later. It's on video. Said if we don't take them out to the movies Saturday night, nobody's moving in here. There's not a Kala. We had to do a lot of stuff, and they would hang out the window in the beginning and whistle at women, and we were embarrassed, and they would curse like a chimney. And a year later, hats, jackets, Shabbos, Yontif, building a Bayis Never Be Yisrael. Almost all of them. None of them are negative. None of them are anti-us, because we baked them in a society of love, a society of Ahavas Yisrael, society of Baal Shem Tov Yidden. And not to knock the Litvaks, because the Nesiv Shalom said the same thing. Not that he's a Litvak, but it's like in the middle. And Lubavitch says the same thing. And the Chazon Ish said the same thing. The Chazon Ish told us how to deal with it. And Rav Pam said the same thing. And I have 6,000 stories. There's no Gadol who said different. But we're now in crisis mode, in action mode. Everybody has to look at these kids as good and see the etzem, which is toiv, not the chitzonius, which is tattoos and smoking and funny hair. We have to feel bad for them. We have to daven for them. You make on the block, every time there's someone sick, then right away the block makes a chat, a WhatsApp chat or whatever, the whole Tehillim for the chayla. Everybody should be saying Tehillim without them knowing, because they don't make them feel like that's part of the emotional. When it's mental, it's different. But everybody should be doing stuff. I bought you a nice gift. I just be nice. If they were surrounded in a mikveh of what Klal Yisrael is supposed to be, with no negativity and no looking down and no lashon hara, no rechilas, and everybody loves each other, nobody judges each other, then imkain mi yakarvam, we will be makarev them. And you parents have no choice, and the siblings have no choice, because it's do or die. But you're ambassadors for the rest of Klal Yisrael. You're doing what we were always supposed to be doing. So no advice, because they're not listening. And even if they ask you advice, you have to know how to deal with that. That's a separate answer. It's a trap. But no judging, no looking down. Don't take anybody else's side. Say, Shefela, it's me and you against the world. You're not alone. Yosef HaTzadik, he saw the Mustukna Shalaviv, V'zehi Tziloi, says in the Nesiv Shalom. That's what saved him, because he realized Shenesyachidim Aviv. He became connected emotionally with his father, and therefore he's not alone. The Medrash says we would have lost Yosef HaTzadik. Al Piteva, the Nisayon was greater than his abilities.
Avi, can I ask
and then what happened was, he says, it became a 2 against 1. And that's how he was able to be Yosef HaTzadik. Your kids have to feel Mesyached im Abba, Mesyached im Ima, they're on my side. It's like the seesaw picture that I put out, where you see a kid on one side, and he's in the air, and on the other side are these big rocks, trauma, pain, depression, rejection, all these things, and he's in the air. And then you see the other picture is Mommy and Tati on his side on the seesaw, holding him, and balances out. He still has to deal. So you're not going to win. It's not going to be all the way Mommy and Tati. No, you're helping him balance out. You're not alone. And you have to tell this to your children. Keseder, I know you're going through dark times. You're not alone. You have a team. That is life-saving. So I'm telling you that no matter what matzav they're in, of course, you have a question, you have an expert to ask, you have a rav to ask, but basically, you take their side. You take their side, even though they're wrong. Because kips, they look at the world, they don't trust anybody. So they say, this crazy doctor, we had a family here, true story, all my stories are true, and their daughter had swollen ankles, swelling in the ankles. They went to the doctor did an x-ray or whatever, and said, you have water on your ankles, so for 3 months, you have to wear a certain brace, and you can't wear heels. She left, she said, that guy is nuts. I'm not gonna wear heels, he's nuts. 16-year-old girl who grew up, she was normal when she was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and now he's nuts. I'm not gonna wear heels. Yeah, there's someone nuts here, but it ain't the doctor. It's you not listening to the doctor and going out in heels. So the world says, so of course you have to take the side of the doctor. As if she's gonna be convinced now that oh, I guess the doctor's not nuts and it is bad for me. And you have to say, no, well, I'm not going to give you, you end up in a fight, and they don't understand. They're not makabel. The way that you are successful is when you do TP, they become a makabel, and then guess what? They don't even need your advice. They start thinking normal, and they say, well, I can't wear heels because the doctor said I can't because it's dangerous for my foot. Very simple. That's how we know we're successful. But where do we see this? It sounds so extreme. It sounds so crazy. It's in the Torah. It's in the Torah that after we sinned with the ego, Moshe Rabbeinu moved. He picked up his tent. It wasn't that hard to move in those days. You need 2 guys, 4 poles. He picked up his tent. I guess he called Moshe's movers, and he moved. Chutz lamachne. Why? I don't want to be you crazy people. We almost lost you. You did an ego. You're destroying Klal Yisrael. You're over there by the Zara. I'm out of here. The pasuk says, "Vishav ala machane." The Torah says that Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu, "Go back to your people, dwell with your people, return to your people." Why? Rashi brings down a medrash. Hashem says, "Im ani bekas, va'ata bekas, im kein mi akarvam." They got beef with me. I'm angry at them. They have a problem. They're in a fight with me. Moshe Rabbeinu, you taking my side? Im kein mi akarvam. Who's going to do the work to be makarav them, to make them better? Hashem doesn't need you, Moshe Rabbeinu, on his side. He can handle himself. They need you on their side. Very nice. I'm masalik myself from you. Well, if you're not going to go to the doctors, there's nothing I can do for you. Mi akarvam. If you're going to dress like this at the Shabbos table, if you're going to come to a simcha natznias, I can't help you. I'm not. Im kein mi akarvam. Don't take anybody else's side. So now all of a sudden the parent instinct wants to take the side of the doctor. Say, listen, you know, the guy went to school for 32 years and he's an expert and he's the best and I paid and and you think that they're going to say, oh, you know what? I guess I was wrong and I'm going to listen to the doctor. No, now you're representing the doctor. I didn't trust him. I'm definitely now I don't trust you. Great. You lowered their chance to become the whole program of them opening up and feeling comfortable and them being honest with you and then hugging you and then trusting you. You blew the whole thing. You were undercover agent in Syria. You blew your cover. They hang you. Why? For what purpose? There's no possible way that she's going to say, oh, yeah? Really? Wow. Okay. Let me reconsider. It's not the Brady Bunch. This is not a TV show. This is real Kipville. It's not Mishpacha magazine. And you've done this. You've tried to argue with them and explain to them. There is nobody listening. There's nobody to talk to. They're not on that level that they could be makabel. Create them to be a kli kibul. That's what TP does. And then your friends say, aren't you going to say anything? You dummy. Or actually, I bless you that you could be normal and your kids can respond. Beautiful. If it responds on regular normal kids, I'm not so sure that regular kids today are makabel either. But not my problem, because they're not in crisis. Let it be somebody else's problem. My problem is crisis. So the non-crisis guy goes over to crisis guy. You're not going to tell her. You're going to just let her. You're just going to try to stop her. Give you 10 grand. Stop her. You wouldn't be here if you could stop her. She blew through 100 red lights on this car of life. And each time you tried slamming on the brake, it doesn't stop. In fact, when you slam on the brake, it starts to spin. Therefore, we don't try to stop. That's why we don't try to stop.